Major funding for these broadcasts has been provided by grants from New York Community Bank, AmTrust Title Insurance Company, Perfect Building Maintenance, M&T Bank, Customers Bank, Marks Paneth LLP, Capital One Bank, Collins Building Services, Meridian Capital Group. Additional support has been provided by grants from AKA Hotel Residences Corman Communities, Ariel Property Advisors, Amarant Bank, Bank of America Merrill Lynch, Briarwood Organization, Chase Commercial Mortgage Lending, Chase Commercial Term Lending, Citizens Bank, Dime Community Bank, Douglaston Development Levine Builders, Flushing Bank, Friedman LLP, Handro Properties LLC, Handler Real Estate Organization, Hodges Ward Elliott INC, Investors Bank, James D. Kuhn Real Estate Institute at Syracuse University, John Casamatides Red Apple Group, Keysight Capital Partners, Matone Group, New Banks, Newmark Knight Frank, Ocean First Bank, Optimum Window Manufacturing Corp., People's United Bank, Rockefeller Group, Rosewood Realty Services, Stonehenge NYC, SVN CPEX Real Estate Services, Tierra CRG, the Meringer Family Foundation, and these friends. Oh, Crystal Apple, you are dull. Okay, this is an unfortunate thing. We've had many shows where you've been bright and shiny, but now you're very, very dull. But hopefully, with a vaccine, hopefully, with the change in elections and everything taking place, 2021 will be a better year than 2020. So today, to discuss their view, the people who provide financing, the people who are in the banking business, will provide their thoughts on the outcome for 2021. My guests include Blair Ritter, who's the regional president at M&T Bank, Chris Marr, who is the chairman, CEO, and president of Ocean First Bank, and last but not least, my friend Dick East, who is the president and CEO of Customers Bank. So we have somebody in New York City, we have somebody in Red Bank, and we have somebody in Wyomissing, Pennsylvania. Most of you are regional on the Northeast region. How do you see the opportunities for 2021? I mean, this year, we've had deferrals, we've had certain changes, we've had PPP. Where do you see the opportunities as a major bank player in this market? Let's start with Blair.
Yeah, so you mentioned PPP, and I think that's exactly where I think the opportunities are going to lie. The regional players, like you just mentioned, the folks on the call here, have the ability to meet their customers face to face in their time of need. And I think 2021 will really be the point in time where the institutions that took care of their communities are going to reap the rewards, where those larger banks who were unable to meet the needs are going to see some more challenges.
From what I read, Dick, you were like one of the top 10 providers of PPP financing in the entire nation, correct?
That's right, Michael. We were number 6 in the country, and we enjoyed, I think, about 110,000 companies that we supported through that process, originating about 5.1 billion in loans, and it was really difficult, I think, for some of the larger institutions to accommodate these needs, because they don't have the flexibility perhaps that Blair's company and Chris's company and our company have. So we took advantage of it. We reaped the rewards of it. We earned a little over $1 million $100 million rather, as a result of our efforts. So, but I think Blair's right. I think we're going to enjoy the benefits of that effort in 2021.
Chris, how did Ocean First fare in the PPP business?
We were a big part of the PPP as well. And not only is it about the dollars that you got out, but it's the speed with which you could get it out. So I think all of us that are here today, but many other banks, were very quick to respond, and in some cases much faster than the major national banks. So as we go into next year, I think, the market has an incredible amount of liquidity. PPP was a part of that, but our customers are in good shape. They've got dollars to spend. They're ready to spend. They're ready to make investments. They've been sitting on the sidelines a little bit, but I think as we go into 21 and we start to, get some of these questions answered about the election and the vaccine and other things, I think you're going to see cash get put to work, and it could be a very positive year as the year unfolds.
Here's a question for all three of you. And I mean, all of you are aggressive, looking for new business, dealing with small clients, providing them lines. Prior to COVID, it was a relationship business that you would go visit someone, have a lunch, have a cup of coffee, have a dinner, go networking. How, in today's world, I find it much difficult. I don't really love the Zoom relationship. I think it's a totally different world. How do you see the future? Because even with a vaccine, it's going to take time before people are going to feel comfortable over there. How are your people going out to try to develop new business? Chris?
Well, I think you hit the key there, is that the relationships are the foundation on which our business is built. I think as we go into the future, you're going to see a careful blend of using tools like, Zoom and others that are really impactful. They allow you to connect quickly with your customers. But you're also going to continue to, some cases, you just have to walk those customers' facilities. You have to understand what they're doing. You have to meet them face to face. So we're looking forward to more of that next year. But I think it's going to be a blend, not just for banking, but for many industries, where it's a combination of in-person and remote.
Dick?
And Michael, you've heard me introduce our company in the past as one of the largest companies you've never heard of. Because our company was really built on word of mouth. Our company is built on our good customers talking to their centers of influence about the services and service that we provide. And, that I think is going to pay, substantial dividends to us in the future. But I'm not really seeing that we're going to be changing our methods that much. We will adapt. We will improvise, and then we'll execute on that.
How are you looking at real estate in the future because of the work at home situation, the changes of the co-working scenario, the regulations by New York State with regard to rent regulations? It's harder to lend today on real estate, and all of you are active players in the market. How are your plans for 2021 different than they were when you were doing your budget for 2020? Chris?
I would tie into your comment about relationships. This is a market where I think there are extraordinary opportunities to invest in real estate in all markets, including the urban markets. But you're going to have to be very careful to make sure that you're backing the activist real estate operator. And what I mean by that is someone who doesn't just kind of sit back and collect rents, but more actively participates in the management of their properties, is able to turn tenants over when they need to, is able to reposition properties. So I think the active, engaged real estate investor is going to have a great number of opportunities, and the banks will be there to support them. But we're going to have to be careful about those folks who may have been sitting on a property, kind of collecting that coupon for the past 5 years or 10 years or whatever it may be. They may be under some pressure, and you're going to have to be careful. But there's plenty of capital out there, but it won't be uniformly applied.
Blair?
I think sponsorship is the single most important thing. So, in 2020, we focused on sponsorship. In 2021, we're going to be focusing on sponsorship. We have seen yet again through all the cycles that the cream rises to the top, and your best-in-class operators are the ones who are able to navigate uncertainty. And we certainly are seeing it here in New York City, but we see it across the bank. Last time we spoke, Mike, we talked about healthcare, and skilled nursing and assisted living in the pandemic. And we're seeing a continued outperformance by those people who not only own the real estate, but who operate the facilities themselves. So those people that really know what they're doing, the part-timers are getting wiped out. But those that really understand the business and are committed to it, many times in a multi-generational fashion, they just behave differently, and they're seeing really good outcomes. So we're going to continue to stick to those kind of folks.
All three of you are on a growth mode, okay? Customers Bank is a number of years old. Under Chris's role, Ocean First has grown from a small Thomas River Bank to a much larger regional bank, including Pennsylvania. Dick, they're in Pennsylvania, not too far away from you, okay? And M&T, we know who they are.
Yeah.
How are you going out today to find new talent? And for you to grow and to meet the demands and the fact that you have capital, how are you looking after and trying to get new talent? Chris?
It all comes down to leadership. So, we're a company that focuses on the quality of our commercial bankers. So our folks are credit trained, they have deep, long histories, they have good Rolodexes, they have great customer lists. And if you try and hire them one at a time, it can be a little bit daunting. But when you find regional leadership that can then open the doors to help you kind of find those next half dozen or dozen folks in a market, I'd say one other thing, talent chooses to come to banks where they can get things done. So you have to be focused on being able to support the bankers as they join the company. No banker will come to you, I don't care how much you're going to pay them, if they don't feel they can be successful in your market. So it's a combination of leadership and having a model where they know they can get things done and service their client, because at the end of the day, it's their brand with the client.
Dick?
Yeah, we have about 1,000 team members on board right now, and that is up from nothing 10 years ago. And we have built that rather incredible team member strength through referrals. So, and we continue to do that. So we have, we look upon the hiring process as inviting someone into your home. So they really need to have the absolute right cultural fit in order for us to accommodate them. So the skill sets that are available today in the marketplace are pretty broad and deep. We hire attitude, and we hire folks that really embrace our culture. And because we think it's unusual in our industry, there's two things that we practice here at Customers, and one is that everybody in the company deserves or needs to feel as though someone cares about them. And the second thing is that everyone in the company needs to have something to look forward to. You get those two things right, everything else is easy, both in the management process and the recruiting process. You get those two things wrong, everything else is hard. We have a 7% turnover rate, which is unheard of in our industry. So, how do we attract talent? We go after folks that we know and we respect. But we're going to try to recruit them from our internal resources. We've already recruited my replacement, but that person has known us for 8 years. We've got other folks in our audit function and our risk function that we have gone to the outside to recruit, but they are outliers. In fact, in both cases, those folks were consultants to us, and we've decided to bring them on full time. So we're very cautious and careful about how and who we bring into our house, but it all starts with making sure that our current team members are well taken care of.
You all mentioned you were heavily involved with the PPP, and we're talking about a potential second stimulus plan, which we have to have. Now, will the banks be doing a similar job on the stimulus plan? Will it be a second PPP program that you see out there? Or how will the monies be distributed over there?
I would certainly hope that we took a winning formula and were able to extend it again and do the exact same thing over. And now there could be a more targeted approach. Maybe there are certain industries like the restaurant industry that are being particularly hard hit, and others that may not need it as acutely as the hospitality business. What we demonstrated is that when Congress and the Treasury put together a clear program that thousands of banks across this country were able to get dollars into the hands of people that needed it the most, and to keep those payrolls flowing. And then that kept the rest of the economy going. I think it was just a tremendous opportunity, a government-private partnership. I think they should do it again. I think they should fund it strongly. I think they should be a little more targeted about which industries need the help, but I know that we're ready for it. And if anything, I think we're positioned to do it even better this time because we've been through it once before. But let's kind of double down on that.
One of the points that impressed me the most was the ability for us to sort of learn along the way with the government. Things changed, and our ability to adjust along the way to meet the needs of the customers was better than I would have anticipated. You're even seeing some of that tweaking with the Main Street program, which hasn't seen broad utilization yet, but they continue to tweak around the edges to try and improve it. So I agree with you. I think the opportunity for the banking industry to support whatever stimulus needs to come out would be fantastic.
When you're looking at 2021 and all of you are working on your budgets, you're working on different areas, where do you see the majority of the concentration that you plan to do in your budgets right now in 2021?
Well, I think that there are some clear industries that are going to require and deserve a lot of investment. So anything in the logistics space. So, we're seeing a continued hot market around anything, warehouse related, distribution related. Those are obvious. They're going to kind of come to the top. You're also going to see, I think as Blair mentioned, our smartest customers have cash, they have liquidity, they know how to do things. There will be repositioning opportunities. And for the people that we know and trust and we have those relationships with, we're going to be happy to get into those repositioning opportunities. So every market brings opportunity. And look, there are other things that I think are going to come along pretty soon. I think we've learned as a country that sourcing all of our PPP overseas may not be the best thing in the world. So I think you're going to see a reaction to that and some reshoring of some critical medical infrastructure. And those are going to be some great C&I opportunities as well. So I think we see it in those areas. I think there are areas that are going to face an uphill battle. It's not an easy time to run, say, a fitness center, and that's not going to get better next year.
When we look at opportunities, we see opportunities, of course, in our note on note. We see opportunities in our new funds finance effort that we're going to be launching within the next 2 or 3 months, and we see opportunities too in our CFG group. It's based out of Portsmouth. It's in the leasing and equipment financing business. But I think more importantly, I think there are market opportunities in this environment. We do business right now throughout New England. We got facilities in Boston and Providence and New Haven. And I like Maine too, by the way, but I haven't found a good opportunity up there yet.
You haven't found the right team yet.
Yeah, exactly. But we've recently opened. We opened Chicago last year, but we recently opened Northern Florida because we think there's some significant opportunities there, and we recently opened Texas, and we think there's significant opportunities there. We like Texas a lot. Texas is a very business friendly state, in spite of the fact that they probably went the wrong way 2 weeks ago. But I think there's geographic opportunities within our basic business, which is C&I lending, as well as owner-occupied CRE. I'd like to make a comment too, getting back to your previous question, Michael. I think as Chris pointed out, there always will be opportunities in the commercial real estate business. We are obviously much more sensitive to doing business in New York today as a result of some of these legislative issues and just the general political environment there. But we have some really outstanding clients in New York who really understand their business, who we have fostered over the last several years. And we're going to make sure we take care of them. So we're not shutting the door just because of some political and challenges, we're being more cautious. But certainly when it comes to supporting our very good customers, we're going to continue to do that.
All three of you are well capitalized. Do you see more consolidation in the banking market for the type of business you do coming in the future? Chris?
Yeah, I think there's no question that there's going to be additional consolidation. And when you stop and think about why the consolidation occurred for the last few years, it's scale matters. Scale matters around technology, around compliance, around many things. And now we're facing a very difficult interest rate environment and yield curve. So if you are going to be dealing with compression in the yield curve for the next year or two, one of the best things you can do is obviously grow organically, but also to increase your scale to reduce your expenses proportionally. So we think there's going to be a lot of factors driving it. And the way we like to look at markets is there's like a trifecta you can get, right? So if I take New York, for example, as we entered New York, and we waited to enter New York until we had the asset size and capabilities to do things right there, we paired together some internal talent development with the acquisition of lenders from a couple of other places and the acquisition of a small family-owned bank. And those three things gave us a powerful combination: an existing customer list, some people we can grow from an entry level, but some astute folks that have been in the market for many years and can help build that out. So similarly, you know, in Philadelphia, we went with the team first, and we've been doing organic growth there. Although some of the acquisitions in the last few years got us a little more exposure in the Philadelphia market. So I think it's going to be a combination of things, but the forces that contributed towards industry consolidation are going to be around in spades in the coming years. Pressure on net interest margins, pressure on technology, pressure on regulatory requirements and compliance. And one of the main answers for that is scale.
What are the challenges that you see going forward in 2021?
Technology, cyber. Cyber will continue to be an issue. And I don't think that's going to be in any shape or form less of an issue in the future. I think it's going to be more of an issue in the future. So, you know, protecting the customers, protecting their information will be really a continuing challenge into the future.
The biggest challenge, I think, is also our best opportunity, and it's meeting customer needs as rapidly as they're changing. So the banking industry has done a fantastic job of having a very stable, strong customer base, but the needs of those customers are changing rapidly. The fintechs have a huge advantage over us in their ability to move quickly. But we have a very strong advantage in that people trust the banking industry with the movement of their money in a way that I'm not sure exists in the fintechs. So our ability to rapidly meet customer needs in a way that's tangible for them, I think is going to be the biggest challenge for us. But if we're able to do that, I think we can expand into more than just what we've been historically. We can add products and services that we can leverage our relationships off of to great effect, and we can meet head on the challenges of the Amazons and the Apples and the Googles as they continue to come into the financial services sector.
Chris?
I think when we think about the cornerstone of our business, relationships and managing those relationships, and many times that may be generational businesses where you're banking, several generations of a family, and you really know the people that are the good operators. Translating everything we do on the relationship side into a digital world is a balancing act. One of the most significant investments we've made in the last several years is enabling our bankers to be able to do business via video. Even pre-pandemic, we've got video teller machines out in multiple locations that we can staff with a small crew in a single place. But I think transitioning what makes us great and makes our business work, which is that relationship connection, understanding businesses, building that rapport with our customers, and being able to do it in a digital manner, and as Dick points out, safely, without a cybersecurity issue coming back to bite you. That's the important multi-year issue. We're going to have to outrun the fintechs. We're going to have to outrun the biggest banks in the country. So it's going to be a challenge, and we need to make sure that we're focused on that.
With like a minute and a half left, I'd like to ask a question on the role of intermediaries to help your banks grow. I know, Dick, you've done a lot of business with intermediaries. I think, Chris, you're at a certain level. I think Blair is less over there. How do you look at the role of intermediaries? Chris?
Well, look, I mean, they can provide wonderful opportunities for you to access markets that you can't or not well positioned to access directly on your own. So, whether that's a loan broker or a third-party referral, it could even be, accountants, attorneys. These are really important sources of business for us. And you need to, make sure you understand those markets. You treat them like the professionals that they are, that you're working collaboratively. But I think you also have to maintain and understand that you're going to have some long-term direct relationships. They're the bank's relationships that, came in through a different channel, were built a different way or over a different time period. So I think being able to understand both channels, to treat them with respect, with professionalism, I think is an important thing. And if you do, you can make a tremendous opportunity out of it.
Dick?
We have an obligation. I think as an industry, we have an obligation. We've lost our way in some respects. And losing our way in some respects is we've lost customer opportunities to some of these intermediaries. So our position, quite frankly, is we want to embrace them, the good ones, the ones who have an appreciation for the compliance responsibilities that we have as an organization. But so we're embracing those intermediaries in a big way, because we want to find what they have found, which is ways in which they can meet customers' needs that the banks have avoided over the last 10 or 15 years.
Right. I think it's amazing. You know what? They have to look after you because it's a relationship business, and that's important. I know that's the relationship at M&T. And I hope that it's going to get shiny, the apple. Okay? I hope that it gets brighter. And I hope to see you all in 2021. I'd like to thank Blair, Chris, and Dick, and see you next week. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Michael. Bye-bye now.
Thank you.